Okay, so welcome to today's Arborist Call. This is the 16th of November call, and I'm Billy from the Foundation hosting today's call. The agenda for today's meeting, we'll hear some updates from the Zebra and Zcash node development teams first, as well as updates on the wallet SDKs from the ECC. Then we'll have some updates on research and implementation work. I think there's quite a few teams that might be giving updates today. Then we will have some time for announcements from any teams that want to share anything. And also there'll be time for open discussion related to protocol development. So what is the Arborist Call? It is a bi-weekly call where Zcash protocol contributors meet up to discuss upgrade timelines and process, protocol research and development efforts, design and implementation of new protocol features, and to identify blockers and unresolved issues. And the purpose of this call is to try to make the Zcash protocol development accessible to interested parties and to provide more transparency for everyone in the community. So if you want to attend, you can register at zcasharborist.org. And if you want to become more involved and you want to present during this call, you can email us at arboristcall@zfmb.org to request a presentation slot. So, oops. Went a bit fast there. You can also get involved in other ways. You can participate in the Zcash community by applying to one of the grant programs, or you can take part in community discussions. We have a Zcash R&D Discord, and we also have a Zcash community forum. And there are clickable links for all of these at zcasharborist.org. So all that over, we can move on to the updates from the core teams. And I believe I'm doing the Zebra update today. So updates since last week, we released version 1.4.0. We wrote a blog post about this, and we're going to be doing this for any minor releases from now on. The main things to highlight are the fact that we are now including mining support in the release binaries. Before, this was only on the experimental Docker image, or you had to compile it yourself. And we also have restored macOS support on a best effort basis. What this means is that we run some tests on macOS on our CI. So whilst CI works on macOS, then we will support it on a best effort basis. We are also now including the Zcash parameters directly into ZebraD, same as the Zcash binary started doing recently. And then from the next release onwards, we're planning to deprecate some Docker habit tags. So if there are any that you use that you can't live without, please do let us know, ideally on GitHub, just creating a new issue, or you can alternatively message us on Discord or write a post on the Zcash community forum. And that way we can take that into consideration and decide whether or not to deprecate all of those tags that we're planning to deprecate. So that was the last release. We've also been working on blockchain scanning using viewing keys. We want to implement first minimum viable product. So this will very, very simply take a sapling viewing key and serially scan the blockchain from sapling activation onwards. So yeah, so for any transactions with that are associated with that viewing. And then we've also been working on some of the issues highlighted way back by the Zcash team on their red team report. And we've also been helping the Kedit team to implement and test ZSAs in Zebra. And I think that's all I wanted to mention today. So with that, I'll hand over to the ECC for their updates. Who do we have on that today?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. At ECC, I'm gonna leave it. Hopefully, someone else from ECC can report on any updates to Zcash and to the proof of stake protocol. What I can report on is the wallet stuff and decentralized Zcash focus ECC, which is abbreviated DZFE. On the wallets, we have, since it's not different from last time, but we've now kept live support in the wild of shielded Zcash using our SDK with Nighthawk, Edge, and Unstoppable. And we have the beta release of our own wallet, Zashi, which is different from last time in that the iPhone side has got a UI that's pretty much complete enough that you can see where we're going. So reach out if you want to help beta test Zashi. And then there's Brave. They told us this week that they've implemented the first phase of their project to integrate Zcash into the Brave web browser. The first phase is transparent only, but it looks like, from what I can tell so far, it looks like they've implemented it and the necessary UI, which means they'll presumably start on the next phase soon. The next phase is orchard support in Brave. What else? Okay, that's pretty much all I can think of with regard to wallets. We've also been spending a lot of time on what we call DZFE, Decentralized Zcash and Focus ECC, which includes documenting more precisely what like products ECC is still supporting and which ones we're transitioning to other people or dropping. The the non-technical like digital content side has made really good progress on that due to this decentralizing digital task force that Josh Swihart and Chris Tomio came up with, and that Chris Tomio has been running. Looks like it's going really well. They recruited a bunch of qualified members of the community, including Decentralized Dan from the Zcash Foundation, and that task force seems to be making really good progress. Um, so I'm thinking that we should try to follow that model with the DZFE of the technical side. Maybe we should recruit a task force to help us figure out the steps. But what we've done so far in the last 2 weeks or whatever since the last Arborist call is just have a bunch of conversations with Coinbase, Gemini, CCG, Kedit, Ledger, Zondax, etc. Just letting everyone know how things are changing, introducing people to each other, starting to warm up the relationships and the planning. Okay, so if there's anyone else from ECC here who can report on any changes to Zcash in the last 2 weeks, and there's been a lot of changes to proof of stake, but I'm not the right person to report on it.
I think for the proof of stake, the trailing finality stuff, that's later in the research and implementation upgrades. But if there's any updates on
Oh, okay.
Zcash theme, maybe itself.
I'm not aware of any significant updates.
Okay, maybe we can move on then. And so next we have the research and implementation updates. And do we have, oh, Dodger, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just got a question about the SDK. Does it support ZIP 317?
That's pretty high on our agenda. The ECC SDK doesn't support Orchard or ZIP 317 as of the most recent stable release. Adding Orchard support is pretty much our current top priority for user experience reasons. So we're actually user experience driven now. So whatever goes to the top of our priority list is because it's hurting or will plausibly hurt real users. And the lack of Orchard support actually does, because if you import your seed into an ECC SDK powered wallet and you import it, the seed was used with a different wallet that supported Orchard. If you import it into a wallet that doesn't support Orchard, then your funds disappear. So that makes adding Orchard support a top priority, because disappearing funds is kind of one of the top classes of UX problems. Now, ZIP 317 is also a really high UX problem because the user experience effect is your transactions take a long time to go through currently. In theory, they might also fail to go through, but from my observations, they currently, with the current usage of the network, mostly always go through, but it takes a long time. So
Yeah.
adding ZIP 317 support is also...
If they were spending enough inputs or outputs, then they wouldn't go through.
I see, yeah. So ZIP 317 support is also a high priority for the ECC SDK and Zashi.
Yeah, I can give a little bit of an update there. So just yesterday, some of the final changes needed for ZIP 317 support were merged to Libra Zcash, and 2Point from Nighthawk has got an open pull request for the Zcash Lite Client FFI repository that builds upon that functionality to start implementing ZIP 317 support in the SDK. So we're actually getting some contributions towards that end, which is great.
One more point, the Light Client working group call that happens about 3 hours from now also covers this in more detail and more participants.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or updates? Okay, so let's move on to the Sustainability Fund. Do we have anyone to talk about that today?
I can give an update.
Right.
So we within the team decided that the zips are at a point where they are not changing that much recently. So we thought it's safe for us to start working on some implementation. So just wanted to announce that this is something we've started working on in the last week or two. And I guess two things I wanted to talk about here is one, we realized that there is some overlap between the work that we are doing and the work that other teams are doing that might be included in Network Upgrade 6. So this is obviously, there are obviously some simple things like just the introduction of Network Upgrade 6 that somebody has to do. And then there is some work on transactions version 6. So I know there is a zip 230 that is trying to define transaction version 6 format. We obviously in ZSF will be needing a ZSF deposit field. So there will be some overlap between our work and that work. So one thing I wanted to I guess figure out is how we'll be managing that overlap. Is it something that maybe we can do first, and then other teams will build upon that, or is there some other course of action you guys want to follow?
So speaking as a zip editor, if there are changes needed for ZSAs to ZSF to add the V6 transaction formats, that should be just a PR onto probably at the moment the easiest way to do it is a PR onto the branch of the existing PR, because I think that hasn't been merged yet.
Okay,
I'll have a look. Maybe the existing PR can be merged because we have a ZipSync meeting today, I believe.
Okay, so this is how we would handle it in the zip, and but there's also the matter of figuring out how we will handle it in the code itself, because we started to work on Zebra first because it's a little bit easier to work with. So we would just wanted to figure out. That's another thing I wanted to understand is how would you want that process to look? Is it something that we should develop on our own branch, on our own fork of Zebra, and then we will gradually move it to Zebra, or is it something that we should right from the get-go start pushing to a pull request in a Zebra repository, or how should that work?
Who are you asking?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's another question I had is who should be my point of contact regarding.
So
regarding
for Zebra, I can be the point of contact. I think obviously the sooner we can start to review what you're doing and your code, the better. With of course no guarantees that on when it will be merged or if it will be merged. We can also have a talk to go through, what's how our coding styles, how we work, and to make sure that anything that you do submit to the CPA repo is matches what we are already doing. But also, we're very happy if you fork it, and when you're ready, you fork it, you do your testing, and then when you're ready to submit something for us to review, just do a PR. And I think Daria wanted, not Daria, Aria.
Aria was
sorry.
first.
Yeah, Aria wanted to say something. Go ahead.
I think a pull request on the Zebra repo would be good. This may have been something we would also be interested in doing, because I think, and Vivek, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Kedit would also need something like this.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so is there any mechanism in Zebra or any preferred approach for merging things that are not enabled yet? Because we do have a way of doing that in Zcash D, although not very much is using it yet. So yeah.
I'll let Aria answer.
We've been doing REST features.
Okay. Makes sense.
So Zuko mentioned earlier the desire to begin sort of the technical decentralization process, and this is probably a great opportunity to exercise the start of that process by actually starting to add outside collaborators as committers to the Zcash repository, and so forth, so that their acknowledging reviews can have weight and so forth. So we should establish a working group similar to what's been done for the Z.Cash website. It sounds like in the relatively near future.
You want to give updates about renaming and moving and access control on GitHub repos?
Oh yeah,
Relevant.
Yeah, this is relevant. So one of the things that I've been doing over the past couple of days is so at ECC we want to make it really clear what products ECC employees are committed to supporting, and those right now are the Zcash core libraries that support the Zashi wallet. And so the Zashi wallet apps and the Zashi wallet SDKs, those have moved into the Electric Coin Company organization, as have a couple of their supporting libraries. And then the other thing that we're in the process of doing, so in the past there were some non-public repositories under the Zcash org, and in preparation for adding external community members as contributors to that org, we've been moving some of those repositories out. So in general, the ECC wallet SDKs and the Zashi wallet, their official home is now under the Electric Coin Company GitHub organization. But Libra Zcash remains where it is. Zcash D remains where it is. There will be in the next few days or maybe the next week or so, I think, some major refactoring happening in the Libra Zcash repository. One of the things that's happening there is that all of the sapling logic that lives currently inside of the Zcash primitives crate is being moved back out to what is the sapling crypto crate. So it will live alongside of the Orchard crate as a sort of first-class independent piece of functionality, and we'll also probably move all of the transparent logic that exists inside of the Zcash primitives crate out into its own like Zcash transparent crate or something of that sort. So essentially we're trying to prune and organize the Zcash primitives in particular has kind of grown into a loose baggy monster, and it's hard to find your way around. And so one of the things that we're putting some effort into is organizing stuff and making it easier to find exactly what you need as an implementer, using parts of the Zcash protocol.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Tomek, did we answer your question between all of us, or do you still have any questions?
Well, there's still the matter of the zips themselves, which I wanted to talk about briefly, and kind of get a feeling of what is the editor's kind of understanding of the current status of those zips. From our point of view, I think out of the 3 zips, I think 2 of them do not have any feedback that necessitates any kind of our response. There is some work to be done on the 3rd zip, which is about the 60-40 transaction fee split, which is about understanding how much money will be involved here.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think we'll be discussing those zips at the ZipSync meeting today, which you're welcome to attend, by the way. And yeah, let me know if you want an invite to that meeting.
Okay. So just to summarize, I guess, as I said, we are starting development on those zips, and sorry, this is my daughter. Sorry. Sorry, this is late hours after work, so I'm doing the babysitting.
No
yeah.
problem.
We're starting a development. I will reach out to Maria about setting up maybe some kind of, or maybe I'll reach out on Discord, and we'll try to get an understanding of how can we proceed from here.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else on the sustainability fund? No. Shall we move on to Zcash shielded assets? Who do we have to look at it?
Hi, I think I'll give the update this week. So yeah, on Zcash shielded assets, wanted to first start with the ZSA zips. So those like the transfer and burn zip 226 and 227 have been mostly stable for the last few weeks. No like significant changes as far as I can remember. So that's, I think, a good sign of things like settling down at present. On the implementation side, one of the changes that I'd been mentioning in previous Arborist calls was the switch of the issuance authorization signature to the BIP 340 Schnorr signature scheme. So that implementation is like work in progress, and I'm basically like working on updating the test vectors to make sure that it is like following BIP 340 and things like that. And so that ideally should be added to the implementation on Orchard soon enough. Yeah, we've also, I think was mentioned in the Zcash Foundation update, we are also working with the Zcash Foundation to work on the Zebra node transaction testing setup. And yeah, we've been having meetings with them, and we've got some help on them on how to get things started with Zebra, and then to add our things in with that. So that's nice. With respect to the now with the other grant that we have, the asset swaps and beyond grant, I did want to highlight that we recently published an issue on the Zcash zips repository, which is I think issue 736. I'll share a link in the chat, and maybe it can be added to the transcript later. So that is basically we've given it's like a call for comments for our first draft of the asset swaps proposal. And in that call for comments, you'll be able to find a Google Doc that has a detailed like first protocol that we've put up there. So we'd love for everybody to have a look at it and comment on it and let us know if there's any room for improvement, any things that they see better. I think I saw that like Nate's already had some comments on there, so thanks for that. And yeah, please, everyone else, please join in and have a look. Yeah, we've also, I think, recently been looking into like Halo 2 proof aggregation stuff, like because I think that's stuff that can be useful for asset swaps for us. So we're looking into how we can make use of those features. Yeah, I think that's what I have for ZSA update.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. Does anyone have any questions for Vivek? Okay, guess not. Let's move on to trailing finality. Nate, is that you today? Dara.
It could be, I'm hoping it could be Dara because my voice is a little sore. Are you available,
Yep.
Dara?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thanks.
Okay, so we have released version 1.0 of the TFL book. All of the definitions have been cleaned up and it's in pretty good shape. It links to several documents on HackMD that describe the crosslink protocol. So I think we've talked about crosslink in previous Arborist call, but basically the idea is that you obtain finality by using a hybrid of a Byzantine fault tolerant protocol and a best chain protocol like proof of work, for example. The safety of the resulting finalized chain is it's safe if either of those protocols is safe, and I managed to prove that. So that proof is now in good shape and is quite rigorous. Still sort of fairly informal, but it's a rigorous argument. And I'm currently working on so there are two ledgers or two ways of viewing the chain. You can look at logfin, which is the finalized chain, or logVDA, which stands for bounded dynamic availability, which gives you a lower latency. And I'm currently working on the proof for that. It's basically very similar to Snap and Chat, which is the protocol that the crosslink is originally based on. So I don't anticipate any issue there. Is there anything else you can think of, Nate?
There's a forum post and also, so from the forum post, there's a link to a roadmap, which is one of the Zcash developer DAGs. So that shows you a short to medium term roadmap with about 2 or 3 milestones. So that's shorter term and fine grained if you want to see specifically what's happening next. And there's a forum thread, and we post updates continuously, or we always post to that thread. So if you search for trailing finality layer on the forum, you'll see our updates there too.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things about the security proofs is making sure that I was using the correct communication model and not inadvertently losing properties of the best chain protocol or the BFT protocol. So basically, any best chain protocol assumes that the network isn't partitioned. So for example, if you completely partitioned the Bitcoin network or the Zcash network into two, then they would build independent chains, and you wouldn't be able to infer that they agreed on the same chain. So any analysis that depends on the best chain protocol is going to be vulnerable to partitions, but the advantage of using the Byzantine fault tolerant protocol as well is that its analysis isn't dependent on partition freedom. So yeah, even if your network is partitioned, it will just stall rather than continuing to build two chains. Well, it will actually build two chains, but they won't be finalized. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Conrado, you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question about a suggestion that Henry posted on the forums about using Comet BFT for proof of stake in Zcash, and I don't understand these things, but it seems reasonable. So I'm wondering, is this something that will be compatible with training finality or not? Do they conflict? What do you think about this suggestion?
As far as I know, they don't conflict. We haven't done the work to make sure that the model of a BFT protocol that we're using for crosslink is able to accommodate other BFT protocols like Comet BFT and hot stuff and whatever. We've been for the purpose of sort of thinking about the protocol, we've been using a BFT protocol called Streamlit, which is designed to be very easy to understand and to teach. But the model of a BFT protocol that we've used is designed to be quite general, and I don't really anticipate that there will be any problem in adapting other protocols to it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Suko had his hand up, but it's down again.
That was an accident.
Okay.
I was just busy typing that Rust is better than Go into the chat, and I accidentally raised my hand.
No worries.
Stoking language wars, Zuko. You're right there.
I actually think it's important for this. Which language you write a full node consensus protocol implementation is actually does matter.
Yes,
it's not a bike shed; it's a nuclear reactor.
Yep, I completely agree.
Yep, it's morally irresponsible to write important things in Go.
Now that is stoking the language wars.
Yeah, and you managed to take it over the top, Chris. Way to go!
I always
But he's
do.
right though.
Cool. I guess nothing else on TFL. Is there there seems to be a transport theme. I can't hear TFL without thinking transport for London, and then crosslink doesn't help. But anyway, let's.
I did make sure that it didn't exactly match the failed project to build a railway across London. That was Crossrail, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, let's move on. I think to Frost updates next. Conrado, is that you today?
Yeah. Hi everyone. So in Frost, we mentioned that we're working on a release candidate, 1.1.0.0 release candidate. So that's coming probably today or tomorrow. And we also been working on adding communication to our Frost demo. So we have a demo that works with terminals, copy and paste and stuff. And we changing it to add actually socket communication. And this is like a first step in trying to come up with a solution of actually getting Frost deployed. So this is probably just a proof of concept for now, but yeah, it's still ongoing work, and we'll keep working on that.
Any questions for Conrado first? Okay, I'm moving on to open announcements. Does anyone have any announcements today? Any news? Please share your raise your hand, and if you're not already a panelist, we can promote you. I think everyone's a panelist. Okay, moving on. Open discussion. Any other topics for open discussion? We have some time. Again, please raise your hand. Going once, twice. Okay, gone. Thank you very much to all participants today. Next Arborist will be on the 30th of November. It will be at the later time of 21 UTC, and it will focus on the NU5 retrospective. So if you're interested in that, please join, and we'll see you all then. Thank you so much. Bye.
NU5 retrospective or sunblasting retrospective? Which thing are we focusing on first?
I'll let Dodger chime in on that one. He's the one that did the slides.
I can't remember which one we're doing first. I don't have the document in front of me. If you have a strong opinion, post it in the forums on in the engineering topic.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Peely.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.